How do I provide positive behavior support, PBS? Six components of PBS. 1. Select and define expectations and routines. 2. Teach behavior and routines directly. 3. Actively monitor behavior. 4. Acknowledge appropriate behavior. 5. Use data to make decisions. 6. Correct behavioral errors. Cycle of acting out behavior. 1. Calm phase. 2. Triggers phase. 3. Agitation phase. 4. Acceleration phase. 5. Peak phase. 6. De-escalation phase. And 7. Recovery phase. Phase 1. Calm. Characteristics. Maintaining on-task behavior. Following rules and expectations. Responding to praise. Initiating appropriate behavior. And responding to goals with success. Angry and aggressive students are relatively calm in the initial phase of the acting out behavioral cycle. Classroom management critical features. Designing the physical space and schedule. Teaching classroom expectations. Establishing classroom routines. Utilizing consequences, pre-correcting problem behavior, correcting problem behavior, and quality instruction. Teaching behavioral expectations. State behavioral expectations, specify student behaviors, model appropriate student behaviors, students practice appropriate behaviors, and reinforce appropriate behaviors. Establishing classroom routines. Attendance, lunch, announcements. Minimizes disruptive interactions, provides a buffer against negative interactions, helps create shared ownership between teacher and students. The more students contribute, the more they own. Step 1. Identifying classroom routines. Establishing classroom helpers, substitutes, classroom visitors, speaking in class, organizing assignments, conducting tests and quizzes, meeting personal needs, using filler activities. Step 2. Specify student behaviors. Step 3. Teach the routines. Sample routines. Specialists. Beginning physical education. Students line up at the gym door. On signal, they enter the gym. Students move directly to line on the gym floor. Maintain a space more than 1 arm's length. Face the teacher. On signal, begin to jog in place. Phase 2. Triggers. Triggers are defined as those events that set off the cycle of acting out behavior. Triggers serve to increase the agitation level of the student. There's 2 types of triggers, school-based and non-school-based. School-based triggers. Conflicts. A. Denial of something that the student wants or needs. B. Something negative is inflicted on the student. Often, students who exhibit serious acting out behavior typically do not have good communication skills. They are also easily triggered, are often provoked by a perception that something negative is inflicted upon them. Changes in routine. Transitions. Adjustments to rules, adapting to substitute teachers, sudden changes in routine or schedule. Peer provocation. Unfortunately, other students sometimes see these easily triggered students as fair game. Name-calling, teasing, interfering with their activities or belongings, or making fun of them. Pressure. Schools can be viewed as a very high-demand location. Students are expected to manage time well, function independently, often manage multiple tasks at the same time. Students with serious problem behaviors do not have the skills necessary to meet these expectations, so they feel under constant pressure. Ineffective problem solving. Acting out students generally have limited strategies for identifying the source of a problem, generating appropriate options, evaluating them, negotiating with others, and implementing plans. These students often apply one ineffective strategy repeatedly or resort to angry, reactive behaviors. Facing errors during instruction. In many cases, these students will stop working after they make errors and will avoid new learning. Their self-confidence is very fragile due to the lack of school success. Facing correction procedures. Easily triggered students often have problems in accepting assistance after errors have been made or with being required to do the task over again. The process used for teaching and learning may actually prompt an increase in agitation levels, thus making it difficult to engage the student in new learning. Non-school based. High needs homes. Students who have behavioral disorders often come from homes where many critical needs are not met. Health problems. Lack of health insurance, ongoing care, common or chronic illnesses untreated due to over-the-counter costs. Nutrition needs. Not having regular, well-balanced meals and/or are often hungry. Inadequate sleep, irregular sleep patterns, environmental factors, and physical or medical issues. Dual diagnosis. A student may receive a dual diagnosis of ADHD and ODD, and the respective treatments may interact negatively with each other. If students are prescribed medication, a side effect of agitation may result. Some students with serious problem behavior experience trigger in both settings. The triggering events may have a cumulative effect when triggers are not effectively resolved for the student. More and more frustration and anxiety can develop for the student, thus resulting in an explosive episode. Identify the context and predictable problem behavior. Specify expected behavior. Systematically modify the context. Conduct behavioral rehearsals. Provide strong reinforcement. Promote expected behaviors. Monitor the plan. Pre means before, correct means after, pre-correction means anticipating problem behavior and intervening beforehand. Problem behavior is prevented, expected behavior replaces problem behavior. Major findings. Active supervision combined with pre-correction significantly reduce problems. Active supervision defined as moving around, looking around, and interacting with children. Interactions between supervisor and children negatively correlated to high degree. Actual number of adults present did not affect student behavior. Some students persisted with problem behavior, implying they needed a more individualized intervention. Actions or behaviors displayed by students in a specific context, resulting in a positive social outcome. Direct teaching of setting specific behaviors designed to provide information, practice, and acknowledgement regarding the behavioral expectations of that setting. Once the Phase 2 triggers began to take effect, the student moves from the calm phase to Phase 3 agitation. Agitation can be manifested in one of two ways: responses indicating increase in behavior or responses indicating decrease in behavior. Teacher empathy assists students to focus on the task, provide space, provide assurances and additional time, permanent preferred activities, use proximity, choice of independent activities, passive versus active activities, movement activities, student self-management. Addressing potential roadblock responses from adults, fair versus equal, task avoidance. In the previous phase, students are characterized as unfocused and the behavior is non-directed. In the acceleration phase, the student's behavior becomes focused and directed. Avoid escalating prompts. Maintain calmness, respect, and detachment. Approach student in non-threatening manner. Procedures are designed to arrest problem behavior, ensure correct behavior occurs next time, avoid escalation. Focus on students nearby exhibiting the expected behavior first, then slowly move to target student. Secure student's attention, inform him/her of expected behavior, redirect the student to expected behavior/activity. Acknowledge the changed behavior when occurs. Make first contacts least disruptive. More intrusive measures if addressing problem behavior means providing attention, which may reinforce the behavior. Controlling for attention is critical. The next student behavior is often determined by initial teacher responses. The most serious or intense of the phases. The student's behaviors are characterized by disruption, so serious that class cannot continue or continues with difficulty. Peak behaviors often represent a threat to the safety of others or to the involved students. These behaviors include physical attacks, self-abuse, severe tantrums, running away. School-district's policy. Identify possible emergency situations, guiding principles for safety issues, necessary prerequisites, action response plan, follow-up.
The de-escalation phase is the beginning of the student's disengagement and corresponding reduction in intensity of behavior. Isolate student. Decision, engage in independent work, complete exit paperwork, determine consequences, restore and resume. No silver bullet, rather mild consequences consistently delivered. In this final phase, recovery, the student returns to a non-agitated and relatively normal state. The student is able to participate, perhaps marginally, in instruction or the current classroom activities. Transition steps, strong focus on normal routine, maintain consequences, acknowledge problem-solving behaviors, support student, plan if necessary, debriefing plan.